This problem is a string pyramid with repeated characters. So given a string, print a pyramid by printing each character of the string on a new line. If it's the nth character, then it should be repeated n times. So essentially, basically, if this string is like Saturn, then the output would be on the first line, single S. Then on the second line, the second character is printed twice. Then the third character is printed thrice. Then the fourth character is printed 4 times. The only other rule being that the string is none or empty, then print an asterisk. So let's solve this problem. If you want to find this problem, it's on my GitHub page. The link is in the description, and the solution is also present there. So it's this problem. All right. If you want to solve this problem on your own, then you can pause the video. All right, so let's look at the solution. So we have this string. Let's consider an example here. For example, we have a string, let's say Mars. All right, so the very first character needs to be printed 1 time, then second character 2 times. So let's just write down the indexes real quick. 0, 1, 2, and 3. Those would be the indexes. So how can I solve this problem? In Python, it's really simple. Basically, I'm going to start a loop which is going to iterate over all the characters from left to right. As we encounter the character, we're going to take its index and multiply the character with that index, and that would give me that character repeated that many number of times. The only problem being the first index is 0. So if I, let's say, take n and I multiply it by 0, then it won't, what would it lead, you can check, but essentially it will not lead to anything. So all we'll have to do is just add 1 to that index. So let's write the code. I'm just going to write a function, and let's call this print pyramid. It takes in a string, and the first thing is we need to check if the string is none or empty, then we print an asterisk. So how can we check that? That's really simple in Python. Basically, if I write if s and then some statements, let's say statement whatever, then this will evaluate to true if the string is not none and not empty. So if I want to do the inverse, I'll just write if not s. That is, either if the string is none or it is empty, then this condition is true. And for that, I can just write print an asterisk. If under the if block I only have one statement, then I don't need to go on a new line. I can just print it on this particular line. All right, and the second condition here is basically if the string is not none and not empty, then essentially we need to print the output as shown here. So I'm going to write a for loop. For x in if I write for x in s, then essentially I'm going to be iterating over the character. But what I want to do is I want to iterate over the indexes. How can I iterate over the indexes? I need to go from 0 to the last index. So in this case, I'll have to go from 0 to 3, which I can obtain by writing len of s minus 1. Len of s is 4 and minus 1 is 3. And then if I do a range on len of s, then essentially I'll be doing the same thing. So I'm going to say range of len of s. So now x is going to iterate from 0 to the length of the string minus 1. Okay, what we can do is we can just simply then take the character at that particular position. The character at that particular position would be s of x, and then multiply it with the index, which is x. And I'm going to add 1 to it because the first, remember, the first index is going to be 0, so we need to make it 1. When humans count, they start with 1. When the computers count, they start with 0. Sorry, when the for loop essentially counts when it starts with 0. And we just need to print that. That should give the answer. So let's write a quick testing for this. I'm just going to write some boilerplate syntax. And let's say my tests, I'm going to define them inside a list. Let's say my first test is going to be Saturn. Okay. And then I'm just going to iterate over these tests and pass them into my function. I'm going to say for t in tests, print underscore pyramid of that test. And let's also print of t. All right, this looks correct. Let's run this. So you can see that's our input and this is the output now. So this looks good. Now let's also pass something else to that. Let's add another test case here, which is an empty string. When we run this, you will get an asterisk. This space is because this is printing the empty string. Let's add something else here. Let's add one more test case, maybe like that, and just print it, and you get the output. There is another way in which you can write the same function. Let me demonstrate in another version of this. This is called def, let's say print underscore pyramid 2. All right. And I'm going to use, first condition has to be same, because if this is empty or non-string, I want to print asterisk. But I'm going to use a new thing. I'm going to use enumerate. Okay, there's a built-in called enumerate in Python, which you can check on the Python documentation. But essentially what's going to do is it's going to give me both the index and the character at that position. So how I do it is I say for, let's say x, let's say for the character I'm going to say c, and for the index I'm going to say I. For ci in enumerate of s. Okay, let's just print this c comma I. Let's just print it for now, and let's see what we get as an answer. Okay, and instead of this, let's say print pyramid 2. So when you do this, notice the output for this 0s, 1a, 2t, 3u, 4r, and 5n. So essentially you're getting the index and the character, although I messed up here. So let me just do I and C to better name this. First it gives you index and then the character at that particular point. So now the problem is really simple. Basically, in this code, I just for IC in enumerate S, I just need to take the character and then multiply it by I plus 1. That's what I need to do. So let's put a parenthesis here. Let's run this code again, and there you go. So I've shown you two ways on how to do that. A simple for loop, which is iterating over the index, and an iterator basically on enumerate. So enumerate built in, which gives us both the index and the character. All right. For the solution, you can find the link in the YouTube description. Thank you.